Hi guys, David O'Brien, Fifth Element Wellness. Today I'm just going to talk about the demands that excessive amounts of cortisol and ongoing stress are actually putting on nutrients in the body. We're sort of not really taking this into account, and especially when we're trying to analyse sort of how much nutrients a particular individual needs and so forth. I mean, everyone's different, and in terms of how we handle stress, our output, all those types of things. In terms of, the organ that sort of demands the most amount of fuel is your brain, and especially when it comes to amino acids and so forth. So we're not really taking those things into consideration. We're sort of putting a blanket approach across everyone. And in terms of how much nutrients one individual needs could be completely different to another individual. And stress is a big factor on that. We definitely know that excessive amounts of exercise actually deplete cholesterol out of the body, because cholesterol is a precursor for cortisol. So you need it for steroidal hormone production. And, at the end of the day, things like training and so forth, they put a stress on the body, and that is going to deplete like your cholesterol stores. And the other thing is demands on particular types of amino acids. I've talked before about the demand it actually puts on things like serine, which is an amino acid that you need for non-essential amino acids like glycine. But it also puts a massive demand on glutamine as well. And especially if you're going long periods without eating, which means you're calling on a particular metabolite pathway called gluconeogenesis to stabilize your blood sugar levels for you. And you're going to use glycogenic amino acids like alanine and glutamine, and that's going to deplete your stores. And the amazing thing about glutamine is you actually need it to actually help with your epithelial cells in your small intestine. And so it actually helps with things that actually help with your immune system and your ability to fight off pathogens and bad bacteria. And we also know that you deplete your serum magnesium levels tenfold when you're under a lot of stress. Not only that, there's other nutrients like zinc, and zinc actually helps with your ability to handle stress as well. So there's all these nutrients and so forth that actually excessive amounts of stress put an enormous amount of pressure on, which means if you're depleting them, you are going to have to replenish them, which is definitely not what we're doing. And I've talked about it before. If you're not getting enough things like magnesium and zinc and so forth, they're cofactors, and you need them for enzymatic processes. So either building up or breaking down something, like chemical reactions in the body to like how we function. And so that's going to have another cascade effect to that. And we can start to have a positive impact on this by looking at our vitamin and mineral intake. Like sometimes it's as simple as, looking at like your red cell magnesium levels, looking at your red cell zinc levels and boosting these up, boosting up things like your B vitamins as well. Sometimes it can be as simple as getting more minerals into you by having things like mineral water, and that can actually have a beneficial effect for things like your stomach and your large intestine as well. Things like like half a lime and a quarter of a teaspoon of pink salt as well to actually help with your electrolyte balance. Or we could actually use really good quality electrolytes as well. Not the ones that have got like strawberry shortcake flavored and all these types of things, good quality ones. And actually replenishing things like our cholesterol stores. I mean, I'll save cholesterol for another day because that gets 100% a bad rap, even what they call the bad cholesterol, LDL. I mean, it serves a purpose, and it's quite amazing sort of the functions that it performs. But replenishing your cholesterol stores by like good fats, and things like scallops, which is really high in dietary cholesterol. Things like duck eggs, organic chicken eggs, organic pork, and big one for me is like offal, which we definitely don't eat enough of. And so once again, yes, I know things can seem complicated, but the solutions are not as hard as we think. And so these are some simple things you can do. And actually, sometimes working out according to your stress levels and so forth, like actually how much nutrients do you need? And just to bear in mind, everyone's different. And to analyze that even further, you probably need to look into how you're assimilating and you're breaking down nutrients. Are you doing that well? Because if you're not doing that well, then that means you're not getting a lot of these nutrients that you require for these functions in your body. Okay? And the recipe that we've sort of been following for that, well, if you're not absorbing it and you're not breaking it down properly, well, you shouldn't eat as much. Okay, where are you going to get these things from then? Okay, and so I'm not saying the answer long term is for you to just start consuming a lot more food, but you've got to get to the bottom of what the actual issue is. Fix it. You're going to absorb food a lot better. Okay, but we're not doing much gut testing. We're not checking these things. We're not checking maldigestion, malabsorption, intestinal permeability, and because we're not checking them, we're not fixing them, we're not really fixing the individual's issues. All right, but I'll speak to you next time. Take care and see ya.